Right, here we are, Glistian Unfiltered, and I'm joined by my two great mates, Sir Robert Cooper
Hello.
and the Greyhound legend, Jonathan Hobbs. How are you guys?
Very well.
This is going to be, yeah, it's brilliant, right? I think we've been chatting for a while to do something like this. I think the three of us were quite popular when we did our little stint on At the Races. We still love At the Races, of course, but I think there's a gap, guys, for us to give our unbiased, unfiltered opinion, and I'm looking forward to doing this. So we thought we'd launch it ahead of the Dewhurst meeting tomorrow. So we're going to talk a little bit about racing. We might even touch on England's cricket success, which obviously I'm anti, but we'll talk about greyhounds, and hopefully we'll steer the viewers into some sort of profit. If not profit, at least not so much losses. Mr. Cooper, where have you been since you left our screens?
I've just been waiting for this moment.
In the library?
It's great. There's a wind treble already. We've all got glasses on, so therefore we're really focused on what lies ahead.
Yeah.
I've been watching a bit of cricket, been racing a few times, not that much, but I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of the world. Are
you still training, Robert? Because you're looking fit.
Oh no, training. I thought you meant you modelling me up with Sir Michael Stoute. No, I walk the dog.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Hobbsy, you doing well, eh?
Yeah, busy and enjoying life and what have you. And I'm not as well read as you can see as Bob. I mean, I'm kind of loving this. I mean, to be in the company of yourself, Joe. Back on our At the Races Saturday morning days, they were brilliant, brilliant shows. And Bob as well. I mean, look, broadcasting legend. And there's so many things I'd like to say about Bob. One, that we used to bump into each other at the Oval watching England play the test matches. And then you guess where he was the evening before he made the headlines when he announced his retirement as such. I mean, we know he's not retired as such.
That's when the news got out, actually.
Really? I mean, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I bumped
into... Where was he? Well, Stringfellas.
Toaster Racecourse. He was at the Dogs during the Greyhound Derby, the Star Sports Greyhound Derby. He was there. I couldn't believe it. The next day, I pick up the paper. I'm retiring. Headlines everywhere. Bob, you didn't even tell me.
A friend of mine had a runner. She got knocked out, and it wasn't the semi-finals. It was the quarterfinals, I think. It was great. It was good fun.
And Toaster was a fantastic course. Obviously, it's still going, right?
Yeah.
Not for horses. It's not.
No, but for dogs.
Yeah, for dogs definitely, and yeah, very much so. And it'd be great to get the horses back. So Bob, now you've got plenty of time on your hands. Come on, let's do it.
I think it needs. I don't know. I mean, it looked very. I mean, the dog track was fine, but the horse race course looked really sad. All the fences looked. I mean, it's still there. If someone wanted to go, it'd be ready to run. So anyway,
that's the problem with us when we get over 40. We remember all the good days.
Yeah, these are the good old days. We've got to say.
These are the good old days, right? Regular viewers will know that we are not going to ever sit on the fence, so let's get cracking.
Okay.
And this is totally unprepared, so I would like to know, before we even get started, what are your guys' thoughts on what happened at Newmarket over the last 2 days? We'll get into the duos soon, but somebody has really, really, really marked their territory in purchasing racehorses in Britain, eh?
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, Ammo Racing have spent a fortune. They hit the headlines on day one, and then Sheikh Mohammed felt left out. So in day two, he dug deep in his pockets. And day three, it's just, it's crazy money, isn't it? Absolutely crazy money. Millions. What was the one yesterday? How much was that?
4 point something or 5 point something.
Yeah, it's so much you can't even think about it.
Well, let me tell you how much it is, Robert. Ammo spent 22 million guineas, I think, which makes it like 24 million pounds. I think when I convert it to rands, it's the whole fucking budget for South African racing for a year.
For the whole nation, for everything. And the good news about spending that money, if you go to Wolverhampton on a Monday evening, you'll see some of those horses running in maidens in about a year or two.
But I do like what Kia said. I have to be honest, which is, if we want to sit at that big table, we need to buy these big horses, because, you know, we're going to talk about the Dewhurst later, and I don't know if you had a look at it, Robert, but
I have.
how sad is it that the top 2-year-old, one of the top 2-year-old races of the year, if you were selling, if you were in the silks business, yeah, you'd only be making 3 sets of silks.
Yeah. I mean, with only 6 runners.
Yep. 2 Godolphin, 3 Cornwall, and 1 other owner. So,
but I fancy one strong. I fancy one strongly in that, because and not the favourite. We will come to that.
We'll come to that. Yeah, but I just thought, I think at least it's good that Kia's trying to at least rock, you know, at least add a bit of different colour to Group 1 races, which is what he said.
Well, Wasnan Racing have done that as well, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say that, and I'm not going to get into the finer detail of what went on in the sales rings, of course, but sport is all about competition. And if this inspires competition amongst the leading owners, look what's happening with National Hunt Racing as well. It's those guys, those big owners, driving each other on. It's the same in Greyhound Racing.
Yeah.
The more big owners that you have, the better the competition. And even if it's a battle of egos, it matters not, because the down benefits to the industry as a whole will mean that, you know, the trainers and their staff will benefit from that. So I say, bring it on. If those guys flash the cash, happy day.
And I think for us punters, it's a fun way to watch the racing. You think that one cost, you know, a jumper that cost $500,000, which is ridiculous, because you've got no hope, even if you win the Gold Cup for the next 3 years, of getting the money back. It's great fun for us watching these fantastic big owners going head to head. Well,
yeah, it's really good. It's really
little minnows look on.
Right, Hobbsy, where are the greyhounds coming from this weekend that you've sort of pinpointed?
Joe, you've always been a legend. You're a genius as well, because you have picked out probably I think probably the busiest weekend. Maybe next weekend will be even busier, but there are so many major competitions. We kick off, well, not quite kicking off, but the semi-finals of the Premier Greyhound Racing Champion Stakes are at Romford tonight. Now, I've launched, or helped launch, I should say, a new Greyhound Racing program, which we broadcast for the first time at Yarmouth Stadium, about a month ago. Our second broadcast, live Greyhound Racing, from races 1 to 12 at Romford Dogs next Friday night. And that's the final of the PGR Champion Stakes final. So we've got the semi-finals tonight. I'll delve into potential winners of that later, no problem. We've got the Premier Greyhound Racing Kent Derby semi-finals at Central Park on Saturday, same night at Perry Bar, Birmingham. We've got the second round of the PGR Oaks, and also the Scurry Gold Cup, the 𝐒𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐿 Gold Cup, which is one of the traditional, well, it is the traditional Sprinters Classic. It goes back to 1928, Clapton and Slough and what have you. So in terms of actual volume of racing, I haven't even talked about Steel City Cup on Sunday and Stubbock Trophy. So it's a toaster. And your mention of Wolverhampton, I'll digress. That's what I kind of tend to do. But your mention of Wolverhampton, seeing some of these, I don't know, £2 million Frankel 2-year-olds or whatever running at Wolverhampton, plans are afoot to build a greyhound track at Wolverhampton Racecourse.
I know. They've been talking about that for a while. Is that going to go ahead?
Well, look, they released the dates, I think it was last week, for next year's major events. Star Sports Derby is in place at Towcester. They are moving the St Ledger from Perry Bar, which will close when Wolverhampton Racecourse opens. So the St Ledger is going to go to Nottingham for 1 year, and the Oaks will go, it says, to Wolverhampton Racecourse. Now, I had a look at Wolverhampton earlier in the week. It was on. I didn't see a lot of building work there, so I don't know where we're with that. But that is the plans. How fast they can move in the early part of next year, I'm not too sure. They might have to rejig, but better minds will know.
For our South African viewers, we need to just clarify a few things.
Sure.
Legend, genius. He did leave out the word humble.
Okay, that's fine.
Obviously. But actually, let's get into a bit of education here, right?
Mm.
You mentioned the Oaks. So a lot of people that are going to be watching this don't actually follow Greyhound enough. We need them to get more into it. The Greyhound calendar almost mimics the racing calendar, right? We have a Derby, we have a Oaks, we have a this, we have a that. What is the distance of the Greyhound Oaks?
The Greyhound Oaks, as it stands, because it's at Perry Bar, is 480 metres.
480 meters.
There you go, 480 meters. And of course, as the Oaks is for fillies, well, it's just bitches that can run in the Oaks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our Oaks is 2,400 meters, or mile and a half, as you guys call it over here.
As it should be.
We do.
So we're going to talk more about this over the episodes, because people need to know. One thing I know, as a humble, funny, educated genius, right? All the South African, anybody that's watching, no number 7 Greyhound will win this weekend. That I'm guaranteeing you guys.
We are, yeah. We've got 6. We did have 7 and 8, if you remember, at Toaster.
And in Australia, they have 7 and 8, but in England,
I'm a massive fan of it. Massive fan of it.
Really?
Massive fan. I
We're
think
not even going to tip today. We're just going to get all our opinions out.
No, massive fan. I mean, I think it's a really huge mistake. And I'm kind of a lone voice, but we should have kept 8 runner races, or the opportunity to run 8 runner races.
Was that driven by our friends, the bookmakers?
I don't know.
I really don't
know. It's just some sort of intransigence somewhere.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying 8 runner races at some of the tracks. Obviously, they couldn't take 8 runner races, so it has to be 6. But to just throw, I don't know, 4 8 runner races for some exotic jackpots, which we were doing on those Saturday mornings. So look, I want to bring back 8 runner races. So there you go.
I used to enjoy commentating on 8 runner races in my SIS days. Great fun.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the advantage of having 8-year-old people on the podcast.
I know. And, you know, oh, great. You are a genius, but you're also something else as well. And they used to have handicaps as well. They still have those, don't they?
Yeah, they do have dog. Even I know, yeah, they've got dog handicap, which I always find amazing, right?
It looks like someone's left supermarket trolleys out of a track, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah, that's right. And if there's problems with the traps, which there can be from time to time, so if one of those traps malfunctions and is slightly opening up slower than the others, void race. So it does happen as well. So
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we can chit chat over the next few episodes and educate our viewers that are new to Greyhound racing, and a lot of them, even though they follow British racing, Robert, haven't really had previews like this before. So let's get stuck into Newmarket, and we'll chip in with the dogs along the way.
It's a great day at Newmarket, because obviously
fantastic day,
the
isn't it?
Dewhurst is the big one. The most ridiculous handicap was 𝐒𝐧𝐼𝐥𝐿𝐬𝐥, which has rather fallen on hard times, because although there are 20-something runners, it's below the maximum, and the prize money's gone down, but it's still an incredible race. So it's a great varied card, lots of group races. The Group 1 Dewhurst is the main one, and it's a really good card.
It's great, isn't it? So should we start in race 1 and then stop on the 𝐒𝐧𝐼𝐥𝐿𝐬𝐥? That might be the easiest, yeah? We'll cover the main races.
And I might throw something in if there's something I'm itching to tell you about later on.
Oh, listen, hey, if you've got an itch, the best thing you can do is scratch. So fire away. The 115, we got Lead Artist as the favorite currently. Probably might not start favorite, because I think Liberty Lane might shorten a little bit. What do you
Liberty Lane won the Cambridgeshire, which is one of the big handicaps of the year at Newmarket, 9 furlongs, same trip as it is on this occasion in the Group 3, and it was a fantastic performance. The draw had a big part in that race, but it was definitely it went down as one of the handicap performances of the season. The trainer Carl Burke's in great form. Clifford Lee's been riding loads of winners. The horse has won twice at Newmarket from 4 runs. He's gone up £8. I think he's got a great chance. Lead Artist will be the danger, but I think Liberty Lane, in that sort of form, will take a lot of beating.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought Liberty Lane, and obviously Carl Burke, just linking back to Kia, Carl Burke was allocated that gazillion-pound horse.
Oh, well, I wanted to know who got that. He got that, did he?
Yeah. Well, Rafe Beckett got one of them, and whoever else, but he got the big one. Yeah.
Quite a responsibility for you. It's not like taking the dog for a walk, is it? when you have, you know, zillions out on the gallops and you think, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't think you can equate it, but I mean, some people love their dogs. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. If someone offered me 5 zillion for my dog, I'd say no.
There you go.
Well, let them try it first, and then I'll see what I say.
Yeah. And if you had 5 zillion, what would you do? You pay
buy another dog.
Right. So in the 115, I think Robert and I are pretty sweet on Liberty Lane. For the guys, and this has started to happen a little bit more in England. I love this, by the way, but in South Africa, we've always been able to do this. But as a punter, if I was laying out 100 quid in that race, I'd be having £80 a place on Liberty Lane and £20 a win. Place betting is a fantastic way to build bank, by the way.
I agree. Absolutely agree. I think, you know, sometimes, and I think backing, you know, short price favourites, usually the value isn't there at all. But you can get, I backed a horse for a place during the week at Leicester, and it was 7-2 to finish in the first 3. It was a 20-1 shot, and it had really good course form. And 7-2, you know, it's a 7-2 winner, isn't it?
Well, let's get back into history of British racing. How gutted would you have been 20 years ago when you would have had to have an each-way bet on that horse?
I know. Now you can. It's so. It's for the punter. It's fantastic these days. You get guaranteed with some bookmakers. You get guaranteed best odds. Whereas if you took a price, you know, you back something at 4-1, think it's a good thing, and suddenly it goes off at 8-1, you feel a bit sick.
Yeah.
But nowadays you can avoid that. It's fantastic.
I think it's great. I think a race like tomorrow, for example, like Liberty Lane, for me, unless it gets a lot of bad luck in running, cannot miss the first 3. So I'd happily take 2s on or whatever it is to run a place. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of France, black with a yellow cap down the middle is trying to pick up. They're moving on downhill inside the last couple of furlongs. It's Mr. King under the standside running rail who is clear of that group. Liberty Lane is over in the far side group, heading for the final furlong. Dual Identity is also picking up deep inside the last furlong. Over on the far side, Liberty Lane a shot clear of 𝐒𝐲𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐴 and 𝐸𝐺𝐻𝐻 Son. The far side Habit, Liberty Lane, a stellar season for Carl Burke. Liberty Lane wins the Cambridgeshire over 𝐒𝐲𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐴, 𝐸𝐺𝐻𝐻 Son.
We'll do the 150 and then we'll let Hobbs give us a winner in the dog somewhere.
We've got a Group 3 race for second race for 2-year-olds over 1.25 miles. The ground, incidentally, we've had a lot of rain in the UK in the last week, but it's on the soft side of good and drying out. It's going to be a fine weekend. The one I like, Rafe Beckett and Ross O'Ryan. I think Ross O'Ryan is a real star jockey. I think he's fantastic. And they've got a horse called Stars in Their Eyes, who's stepping up in trip. Won at Leicester. Form of the race has been working out very well. Finished second behind a horse called Field of Gold, who ran quite well last weekend. So I think Stars in Their Eyes would be my choice in the second race.
And for the viewers out there, we have not prepared for this at all. We have not spoken to each other, and I am taking the place double, Liberty and Stars in Their Eyes, because I read it exactly the same way. Stables on form. They've just won the Arc. Ross is riding like a man possessed. Can't miss the first 3. Great place double.
I think so, and I think if I had a danger there, if I was doing my place pot, which I love, placed horse in.
We didn't know
36 places. Dunham Maze of Gosden's I think will go quite well in the Wathnan colours. But Stars in Their Eyes is definitely my number 1 choice.
Yeah, I agree.
As is shaken along, it's just overtaking one more Chrome, and then Bin Harir under hand riding as they come inside the 2 is trying to plug on, but it is Spirit of Summer with Lunar Orbit in second. Stars in Their Eyes has been hard driven, has still got some work to do. Then one more Chrome, Bin Harir. Archivist is doing some fine late work, is really picking up ground, finishing 2 to their 1 as they head towards the last half furlong. Stars in Their Eyes has got to the front, has got past the long-time leader Spirit of Summer. Archivist still staying on, but Stars in Their Eyes gets the job done. Archivist second round.
Jonathan, we've Robert and I've tipped you 2 winners.
Good.
How are you looking there on the dog front? Where are we tomorrow on the dogs?
Can I just have I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the actual horse racing tipping. I mean that's obviously for Bob there, and I have to say, honestly, I've not even seen the runners. But the Dewhurst, I just thought, right, I'm going to Google the Dewhurst, because for me, that was always a, you know, the great 2-year-old race. It got you kind of excited for the next year. And having this conversation is going to make sure that I actually watch it. And I went, right, I'm going to Google this. So Mill Reef, Minstrel, Grundy, Generous, Zaphonic, Pennycamp, Frankel. And then I'm not too sure whether, you know, in sort of recent years, it's been absolutely fantastic. Until then, City of Troy, and of course I know what's happened with that fantastic horse as well. So maybe, just maybe, looking at that history, even 𝐒𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐿, I remember backing him to win the July Cup, Bob. That was when, you know, I kind of knew a little bit about horse racing. So yeah, it's just it's a great race.
It's a great race, really. I mean, you know, Aidan O'Brien's won it 8 times. He's won it, you know, in the last few years, but not with any real great horses. City of Troy is the best for a long time, probably the best since Frankel won it, actually. Lester Piggott won it 10 times. You were saying the 𝐺𝐸𝐺𝐻 and the Minstrel, and you know, it's a race of legends.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So it kind of got the juices flowing, I have to say, Joe. So it's a good shout there.
So which meeting we going to tomorrow? Go on.
Right. Yeah, let's go. I think Friday at Romford, they're great races. The Champion Stakes semis, they're very much a match. I mean, New Destiny versus 𝐼𝐸𝐧 Sydney. It's a pick 'em for me. But the bet I'm going to advise first off will be in the Kent Derby in the semi-finals there. I'm just going to give you, trying to find the time of it. The ground by the
tomorrow.
This is Saturday. Yeah, it'll be Saturday night at Central Park, Sittingbourne. Tomorrow night, and I'm going to go for a dog by the name of Droopy's Donut. And I'm going to give you a time as well, but it'll be on the pod somewhere.
Yeah, we'll stick it up.
Your mountains of staff, Joe, will make sure that it's there. But it's Droopy's Donut is the ground. He's up against El Tornillo. These are 2 of the fastest grounds in greyhound racing at the moment. If they don't have the match of matches, the buckle of buckles, I'll be really surprised. And I just fancy that Droopy's Donut might just wear El Tornillo down in the shadow of the post. So I'm going to go and give you that one at Central Park. Droopy's Donut. Got a nice ring to it.
It does.
I've written it down.
Good.
I'm on.
Excellent. Right.
So I can tell you now, because
9-11.
Obviously I'm a genius. It's at Central Park, 9-11, trap number 5.
5. There you go. I was going to say
I
6.
love 5.
5 versus 4, isn't it? Tornillo's in 4. Yeah.
Yes. El Tornillo is in 4. It's a toasted dog, this. And for the viewers who don't know Hobbsy, I'm telling you, follow this dog. The guys in South Africa, I know they've started offering betting on South Africa, on greyhound racing there. Central Park tomorrow, 9-11 British time. So that'll be an hour's difference. I know the clocks are going to change soon, but trap 5, Droopy's.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, that's the one, because El Tornillo and Droopy's Donut, they're going to do, you know, they're going to pretty much make the market. So Tornillo's going to make the market for Droopy's Donut, and if you're a Tornillo fan, it's going to be the other way around. So while I could give you King Memphis, who's the red hot favourite in his semi-final and probably the fastest greyhound around, or certainly in that bracket, he was a beaten Derby favourite this year. I think just for a bit of punting fun, then Droopy's Donut. And maybe in the first semi-final, Romeo Steele. Absolutely. It's a kennel mate of Donut. He showed so much pace last week that if he just gets a clear run this time, he found crowding and what have you, still led, but then faded close home. If he gets away from them, again, he could do a time. So Romeo Steele, King Memphis, Droopy's Donut, they're your 3 winners in the Kent Derby semi-finals.
Perfect, right.
That's my Saturday evening treble sorted then.
Oh no, the pressure.
The pressure is enormous. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to the autumn stakes. Scoops, and I'll go first here.
You go first.
I found a lurker. I think I found a lurker. So I think that in his final season,
Stouty
with Nightwalker, 10-1. I've got to see this all starting 7-1 tomorrow, 6-1 maybe.
Joe, what's a lurker?
It's something hiding in the background, something that's not obvious to everyone.
I mean, by a lurker in this sense, although he's beautifully bred, he's a Frankel colt, but he won a sort of humble maiden at Yarmouth. So this is obviously a bigger a much bigger test. But he could improve, and I'm sure Stouty would love to have a few winners at Newmarket, his base for all those years.
And I've been here for 25 years, and I do know that the Newmarket trainers do like taking some of their better horses to Leicester and to Yarmouth.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and,
They call
Frank,
Yarmouth. They call Yarmouth.
Had his debut there, didn't he? Was he at Yarmouth?
Which one?
Did Frank will not have his debut at Yarmouth?
No, Newmarket.
I was in Newmarket.
Newmarket.
But some good ones. It was a very good one of Ed Dunlop's a few years ago. I can't remember. But some very good 2-year-olds do make their debuts.
Yes, some very good 2-year-olds. So for me, have a few each ways viewers on Nightwalker. Try get on today, 10-1. I've got to think it'll start shorter. What did you think, Sir Robert?
I haven't got a strong view. I mean, stats-wise, Godolphin have got a stranglehold in this race. They've won it 7 times in the last 8 years, mainly with Charlie Appleby, but Saeed bin Saror has chipped in as well. William Buick's won it 6 times, so they've got Silver Peak. I mean, they've got a choice of millions of horses, so that's obviously the one they think will win. I thought at a bigger price again, I think Rafe Beckett and Ross O'Ryan and Stanhope Gardens, I think, go pretty well. I think it was, again, it was a bit of a lurker, winning a maiden at Beverley, but rather along the same lines as Nightwalker. I think Stanhope Gardens could improve. So it'd be quite a good match bet between us two.
Yeah.
I'd go for Stanhope Gardens, and you go for Nightwalker.
Okay, I'd say we'd have a bet on a hamburger, but I fancy you don't eat hamburgers. Judging by the books in the background.
They're CDs, actually.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, right. There you go. I feel better now.
That's random.
It's a man. It's a
What
man,
are you
actually.
keeping them for?
Yeah. What?
What are you keeping them for?
Well, Clay, I've got, look what I've got down there. That's the vinyl.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
I've got a lot of vinyl there.
Right, we're on to the big one.
Yeah.
We're on to the big one. The Dewhurst.
We'd never talk music. But Dewhurst.
Fantastic race.
Have you got a fanfare machine in the background? It's great. I mean, you know, Aidan O'Brien, he's only got 3 of the 6 runners. And Milan in winter is again meant to be the next great thing. He won. Yeah. He won at York. He won first time out of the Curragh. But I am dead set on Shadow of Light. I was so impressed when he won the Middle Park over 6 furlongs. And anyone who says, oh, he might not stay for 7, he's bred to stay for 7 furlongs. They've supplemented him at great expense. Not that it matters to Sheikh Mohammed the expense, but Shadow of Light, I was so impressed with him. Godolphin have also got Ancient Truth. William Buick could have ridden him. He's definitely chosen Shadow of Light. He was on board last time, and he just surged clear to win by 4 lengths from a really good Aidan O'Brien horse called Whistleblower, a Whistle Jacket, not Whistleblower, who previously won a Group 1 at Deauville over in France. So I think Shadow of Light, he's round about 3-1. I'm going to be on at 3-1.
I watched his last win, Robert, and
you can't knock it.
You can't. His turn of foot was unbelievable. He just kicked on.
That was on pretty soft and testing ground. It'll be still on the soft side, but I think he'll be even more effective tomorrow.
I'm in your camp. One thing I mean, we all love Aidan O'Brien and what they do for racing. I will say though that he must be the world champion in amnesia, because every year this is the best one he's ever had.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is true. I can hear him talking about, I don't know, horses we never hear of again. Air Force Blue, US Navy flag, St. Mark's Basilica.
Oh no, this is the best. We love you, Aidan. We really do. We couldn't think of you not doing what you do. Fantastic, but change the words a little bit sometimes.
He goes through, I love all these thanking routine.
Well, hey, listen, we got problems with thanking in South Africa. You win a race and they thank everybody from the taxi driver all the way right through the whole demographic. It doesn't stop. But anyway,
yeah.
I had
Anyway,
a
shadow of light for me, definitely.
Shadow of Light for me too.
And Shadow of Light is now moving through to Dash Dizzy. Whistle Jacket under the Moor Drive, pitching there between horses. And then Defence Minister. Deep inside the last furlong they come. Shadow of Light quickens up impressively. Stretches on here, moves 3 lengths clear. They're chasing Shadows in behind. Shadow of Light is away and gone. An emphatic winner of the Juddmonte Middle Park. Up for second, Whistle Jacket. Close for third between Black Forza and Dash Dizzy.
Go on, Hobbsy.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to add to the Dewhurst. Do you want a greyhound tip now?
We want to know. Okay,
Right.
before you give us a greyhound tip,
Hmm.
right? Let's just do a little bit more educating. So, because I really want to drive the greyhound growth punting wise in South Africa, because it's a great betting medium, right? So, what's the shortest races we have?
Oh, the shortest races are sprints, and I think Romford is probably the shortest sprint. And you put me on the spot. I think, is it 225 meters at Romford? There you go.
Yeah,
so
probably.
pretty,
Okay.
yeah, 225. So it's,
I know we push about 600 meters in some places. Eh?
no, that would be the shortest. But I mean,
Yeah.
if six
And
bets,
longest?
we're talking 660. I think I think 710. I mean, we've got marathons. I think there was a marathon at Swindon earlier in the week, 890 or something. So 925. There used to be 1,025 at Romford. They don't often run there. 1,048, I think, at Crayford. So if you know Crayford, Bob, you've probably done the commentaries around there at some point in the dim and distant SAS days. But
do they ring a bell on the last lap?
They should do, shouldn't they? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something we need to introduce. But I think it's like 3 laps of the Crayford track. So yeah.
And also from my perspective, when I first got to the UK, I was under the impression that the fastest dog out the traps always won the race. But actually, greyhound racing does in a way mimic all sorts of racing. You can come from off the pace. You can run wide. And that's why often, am I right, dogs get allocated the same trap?
Yeah, I mean, look, we do have seeding, so you're either rails, middle, or wide. So consequently, and especially these days, something probably quite technical in terms of breeding and hair systems and tracks, we don't have as many wide runners as perhaps I remember. So those wide runners you'd often see in trap 6. So yeah, you would expect to see the wides in 5 or 6, and more often than not in stripes. So middle seeding was introduced, I think, only about 20 years ago. So it just helps in terms of making races a little bit more clean run than they would be if they were unseeded, because dogs, especially a wide runner, coming out of trap 1 just goes across, and you sometimes see that happen, but hopefully not as much as perhaps you used to do back in the day.
And we've just announced in South Africa, our biggest race this year is a grand horse race, is a grand prize of 5 million rand, no, 6 million rand, which is roughly 240,000 pounds. Please just tell us what the biggest greyhound prize is. Greyhounds.
Look, I've got to talk about Ireland and the UK, and again, you are just absolutely spot on in terms of your timing. This year, Star Sports English Greyhound Derby winner was 𝐷𝐸, an Irish trained greyhound, bred and trained and I think even part owned by Liam Dowling, with a few lads. £175,000 to the winner. Now, having said that, Toaster boss Kevin Boothby has already announced that he's not too sure he can get up to that kind of level in 2025. So whether it's a cry for help from the industry as a whole, I think it might be 100, it might be 125, but it was 175. A few years back, when William Hill were the sponsors of the Derby, when it was held at the old Wimbledon Stadium, therein is a story, if you ever follow what's been going on with their pitch at Plough Lane in terms of the flooding and what have you. But £250,000 was won by, you're going to get me now, Was it Salad Dodger or was it?
You've dug a hole for yourself there.
I have. Salad Dodger.
You can't use dug a hole
when
we're talking about Wimbledon.
No, exactly. Well, yeah, no, that's a good shout. Well, thank you, Bob.
Funnily enough, I was there the other day.
Rack my brain, but we had a £250,000 Greyhound Derby at Wimbledon Stadium. So yeah, thank you. You know what's happened with obviously with the football coming into what was the Greyhound track. It was a much loved Greyhound track, but the owners of it sold out to Wimbledon. AFC Wimbledon, of course, and I love football, and I have been to AFC Wimbledon. They've done a fantastic job. I'm a sports fan, so as much it was a massive wrench and some rips your heart out in terms of Plough Lane, because we had some great times at Wimbledon Stadium. We told them, Greyhound Racing told them, this place floods in the winter. It's a floodplain. The River Wandle is round the back of the stand. It floods. No, they didn't listen to us. Council never listened to us. What's happened, Bob? It's flooded, and they had to go cap in hand to everybody else, and understandably. So there's a lot of Greyhound people who's going, well, be careful what you wish for in that respect.
Yeah.
But hopefully, let's hope that they can
back to the mathematics.
Yeah, go for it.
Back to the mathematics. We have a Greyhound race in UK and Ireland worth £175,000 to the winner, which is remarkable. It's and I know I'm using exchange rates to thingy, but I just wanted to put it into context for our South African viewers. Right. Jonathan, give us this other winner, and then we're going to talk about the 𝐒𝐧𝐼𝐥𝐿, and then we can...
Right, I'm going to go to Perry Bar then. So the Oaks on Saturday night, and there is similar to what I was saying about Droopy's Donut and El Tornillo. So there's short price favourites across the board, but there's one called Queen Joni who runs in the 828, which is Heat 4 of the Oaks. It's a brilliant race. Good. Do you like your darts, Joe?
You know what? I stopped supporting it when Phil gave up, because I thought Phil was a consummate professional in how he looked after his body and his mind.
Well, Bob gave up with John Lowe, didn't you? But I'll tell you another story about that. But anyway, Keith Deller, Playboy Keith Deller. Yeah, he's. I think he loves his dogs, actually. Anyway, cut a long story short, Gerwyn Price owns a bitch by the name of Iceman's Girl, who runs out of Trap 2 in Heat 4 of the Oaks tomorrow, up against Queen Joni, Lear's Dream, Rioja Maxi, Copicella. It's a brilliant race. So it means that they're all going to be decent prices, whoever you go with. I'm going with Queen Joni in Trap 3.
I am going to ask you a question now that you aren't ready for.
Go on.
So I've just looked at that race card, and you say Gerwyn owns Iceman's Girl.
Yeah.
So in horse racing, we have the owner next to the trainer. Why don't they do that in dog racing?
Well, look, I don't know what form you're accessing at the moment.
Racing Post.
Oh, right. Well, I've got the actual race card here.
It's got the guy's name.
Race card, and the owner's name is.
Brilliant.
Quite lit up in lights, but it's next to the train.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've never seen that before, and I just thought I'd ask.
Different format.
Okay, so, but do you think Queen Joni, Trap 3?
Yeah, Queen Joni. Yeah, she was favourite to win the Oaks last year. She had a troubled run in the heats and bowed out, but since then she's won big race after big race after big race, and I thought she was a little bit fortunate last week to get through but once she saw daylight off the second bend, she was just a machine, and she'll continue to improve. And yeah, I mean, she's a star.
Okay, brilliant. Right.
Okay.
Sir Robert, are the £90,195 going back to Willie Mullins after the 𝐒𝐧𝐼𝐥𝐿?
Well, 4 years ago, it was 208,000 first prize. It's amazing how that one has gone downhill, actually. And the Irish 𝐒𝐳𝐼𝐿 was run the other day, and that was worth €324,000, but, a lot of money. But, yeah, there are 13 Irish runners. There's been a big gamble on the Willie Mullins runner, Sea of Sands, ex-German horse, won a Group 3, won a maiden hurdle at Listowel in Ireland the other day.
Lap opener.
I mean, he's 9-2 favourite. I could not possibly, even with your millions, back that horse at 9-2. He may win, but if he wins, he wins without my money, because, you know, you're just taking a stab in the dark. I think you've got to go on certain more form lines. Brilliant trainer. I'm sure it's a very good horse, but I'm going to look elsewhere. 9-2 in a 25 runner handicap is crazy, I think.
I'm on your side. So where are you going?
I like, well, in fact, it's not much longer, but in the Irish 𝐒𝐳𝐼𝐥𝐻, a horse called 6.5 ran really well. Aidan O'Brien won it with the Euphrates. He saw the prize money and he thought, yeah, let's go for that. And the Euphrates won. 6.5 stayed on really well. That was the same sort of distance. Trained in Ireland by Gavin Cromwell, who I think is a brilliant dual-purpose trainer, both on the flat and over jumps, and ridden by a £3 claiming apprentice. But he gets on very well with the horse, Robert Werty. I think he'll go well. The best of the British is probably Manxman, number 18, ridden by a very good young Irish jockey, Sean Dillon Bowen, won last time. But I think it's going to be dominated by Ireland, really. Emmett Mullins, obviously related to the Great Willie, has got a horse called 𝐔𝐽𝐢𝐿𝐵, who is again about 13-2. I can't think of anything. If I was going for a double figure price, I think I'd go for Jamie Spencer riding for Gordon Elliott on a horse called 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐿𝐵, who Jamie Spencer and Gordon Elliott were second in the race last year behind the shunter. But I think 6.5 is my number one bet in that race. 6.5 for Gavin Cromwell.
Right, and I am very sweet on a horse here. I think has been targeted for this race. It's just my opinion, but I can see that they've won 2 races in a row with it. Stable's on form, carrying very low weight. Andrew Balding, master trainer, Spirit Mixer for me.
I mean, he's won a couple of races at Chester, stays very well.
Stays well, 6 years old. It's the right age to win this type of race, I think. And probably needed to win its last race just to get that little bit extra, or maybe even get guaranteed to be in the race.
He's a Frankel, 14-1. You could probably might get bigger, but you know, it's a fair each way bet.
Yeah, I think he's a good each way bet, but it's a tough race, that, right? And you don't really want to be too carried away.
Who's that one, Joe? 14-1 chance?
Spirit Mixer.
Spirit Mixer.
Got it. You know, this is a live pod for us all, isn't it? So my phone, we're counting down to our next. I've got to plug it, of course. Our next Gone to the Dog show at Romford next week, and
of course.
But a mutual friend of ours has just been in touch, and he's passed on his regards. One of our former producers, in fact, my producer now, one of my many bosses, Dermot Comiskey. He said he sends his regards. I'm sure you know him well, Bob. So. He sends his regards. He says, Joe, he's a proper pundit. I think that's pretty good, eh? That's all you need.
Listen.
He probably thinks I'm a proper something
legend,
else.
Hero, humble.
Everyone loves you, Bob. Don't worry about that.
I worked with Dermot since he was there as a young
lad
at SIS at the beginning, back in the 80s.
There you go.
Fantastic. Right. We will, we're going to knock it on the head, gents. We've been really good. Okay. Sir Bob, I don't know if you saw this horse win earlier in the week. I'm going to mention him quickly now. He is a Rafe Beckett horse. He won by 8 lengths at Pontefract earlier this week. A horse called Sir Dinadan.
Ah, well.
And I see that they've put him in. They haven't accepted yet, but I see that they've nominated him for Goodwood on Sunday. I would, for the viewers out there, if he runs that soon, I would almost take any price, to be honest.
Just going back just for a moment to that race where I liked Stanhope Gardens in the 225 race, the Autumn Stakes. Silver Peak, who's trying to continue the Godolphin run, beat Sir Dinadan, and the form has been franked. So maybe, you know, Silver Peak, that's a big plus for his form.
Yes, he won by 8 lengths at Pontefract. Hard held, honestly. Ross Orion never moved. So, okay, we will, for those of you who have stuck it out and watched it till now, we'll put up a little slide with all our selections.
No. Sorry.
There's more. There's more.
No, I mean, look, can we not just have the final kind of couple of minutes on cricket, because a magnificent performance from our English cricketers against Pakistan. And Joe Root has a certain Jack Callis in his sights, doesn't he, Bob?
He does. I'm sad about South African cricket. The Test cricket is going through a bit of a quiet phase. It's not that popular. But when England play, when South Africa come over to England, I always think, besides we always want to beat the Australians, India, but South Africa are way up there. They're a very good side, and they've got lots of really good players as well. But England at the moment that is a phenomenal performance out in Pakistan. Absolutely, one of the greats. I mean, it broke so many records, and they've got to do it all again in about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, listen, guys, it is amazing what English cricket has gone through. I mean, obviously we've contributed. We sent Kevin Peterson over and a few others.
Andrew Strauss.
Straussy. The only rebuttal I've got to you two clowns is I'm going out for Greek later because yesterday something crazy happened.
Bob, should we go
Greece,
now?
Yeah. Greece beat England.
Yeah, sorry, I've got 1 or 2 technical.
Yeah, so we've got a sound problem there.
I don't know what's happening.
No, listen, fantastic.
Legend.
Genuinely, English cricket, really, seriously, what they've done recently, but they've been near the top for probably about 6-8 years, right? So something is working, and I promise you, it's got to do with development. That's where it is, and that's
there was a time when the English cricket team went over to South Africa. There was a sign up from the South Africans saying "Welcome home," because they were nearly all South Africans.
Yeah, but they're obviously doing great things on the development side of the game. And listen, cricket's a great sport, and us South Africans, we love our cricket. I do think that probably there's too much money in it at the moment. And
a lot of money.
There's a lot of money in it, and I think great cricketing nations, former great cricketing nations like the West Indies, they're not getting the money that they used to.
No.
They're not developing the players like they used to. The guys are running or playing football now. And these things all have, they all impact on the sport as a whole. So I'm not anti T20. I'm not anti the 50 over matches. But
you've got smaller teams like Bangladesh coming into it. They were pretty poor a few years ago. Afghanistan, Ireland have got a keen following of cricket as well, and Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good. It's good for the sport, but I do think the IPL, for example, has taken a lot of the talent away. And I mean, it's some of the shots these guys are playing now. Of course, it's fantastic, but. Yeah, listen, well done, England. That's all I can say. We'll end it on that because you've had a compliment.
And well done, Chris, as well.
Enjoy. It's a rare compliment, isn't it?
Cheers, guys.
Lovely. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Take it easy.